Hello there, No Sleep. You can call me Ayumi. I live in Asia. I can't say exactly where. My family is of Japanese origin. I'm a high school senior, and I work part-time in a convenience store in the night shift. Thank you for taking the time to read this, and sorry for any mistakes. As I said, I work in a convenience store. The store is located in the first floor/ground floor in a 4-story building. Above me is a cafe in the second floor, and in the third floor, a law firm. The fourth floor is vacant. I'm sure most of you have heard the legends concerning the number 4 in Asia. And yes, this is taken very seriously here. If you haven't heard, well, it's a belief that the number 4 is an unlucky number due to the pronunciation it has in various languages that's similar or equal to death. In Japanese, for example, 4 can be read as shi, the same pronunciation for death. However, I must say that most of the time, it's only superstition. I've been working here for a year, and while I've never been in the 4th story, I have no strange stories to tell about the building. And believe me, I am a magnet for weird things. Or at least, I didn't have, until that night. So, past 6 p.m, the convenience store is the only thing open in the whole street. That means I'm alone for most of my shift. The night shift covers the period of time from 5 p.m. all through to 11 p.m. This is pretty late for a high school student, but they pay much better than the afternoon shift. Being alone has its benefits, as I can do my homework and read peacefully once it's past 8 p.m. We rarely ever have customers past 8 o'clock, and the ones we do have, they know me by name and they don't mind if I'm doing something else to pass the time. I even get to take food home sometimes, when it's about to expire. So, all in all, it's a pretty great job. It was a Monday night. Most Mondays are slow, but that one, I had no customers the entire night. Not a single soul stepped in. I had assumed it was because it was quite rainy that night, but looking back, I already knew it wasn't so simple. Your instincts, they can sense when something is wrong, and your whole body warns you with goosebumps and a restless heart. The night was unbelievably quiet. Not even the cicadas singing their chant. Since my shift began, I was always on the edge, like something was about to happen. I couldn't concentrate on reading the book that I'd brought. My first customer of the whole night entered the store past 10 p.m. As I was feeling too fidgety to read, my only solution was to tidy up the store while I was there. I was standing up on a stair while tidying the highest shelf. I'm barely 5 feet tall, when I feel this presence behind me. There was a deafening silence for a few seconds, until I decided to talk to whoever was there. How may I help you, sir?" I asked. My voice was almost shaking in fear, and I felt so pathetic because it made no sense. I have customers coming in all the time, but this one person, they were very different. They made an alarm scream inside me. Danger, danger, danger. As I was about to turn back to face them, a sudden wave of dread hit me, like a punch to the face, and I swear to God, I've never felt such fear in my entire life. I knew in that moment that if I turned back, I would see something I would regret my entire life. Yes, I'm looking for... And he said the name of an anti-allergic. I'm sorry, but we can't sell that kind of medicine here. You should go to the drugstore a few blocks away, sir. I answered him. It bothered me that someone would go in a convenience store trying to buy prescription pills. He obviously knew that I couldn't sell it. It was an excuse for something. But what? Our conversation ended there, and I continued to tidy up some cleaning supplies on that same shelf. I tightened the cap of all the bottles, thinking maybe one of them was loose and it was escaping because of the awful smell around. But now, I'm not so sure it had anything to do with bottles. Only a few minutes later, I realized that I never heard that person leave. In fact, I never heard them enter the store. There's a bell over by the door that rings any time someone opens the door. It did not ring at all. It was very weird. So, I turned around, and I swear to God, that man standing there, he had no face. It was smooth, like an egg. That messed me up real bad, and I almost fell down the stair. But when I blinked, there was nothing. There was no one anywhere around. I was alone again. But I couldn't brush off the feeling that I wasn't completely alone. I searched around the whole shop, looking for that person, but I found nothing. The streets were empty and dark enough that the subtle glimmer of the light poles couldn't help illuminating more than a few meters. It was helpless to look out. It was already 11:15 p.m. when I heard a noise breaking the deadly silence of the night. The fluorescent lights seemed to flicker for a second when something heavy hit the back door. That didn't scare me though. Actually, it relieved me at first. Sometimes, homeless people will come here during late shifts, because that's usually when we throw away the food that's about to expire. And at least for me, it's better to give it to somebody who needs it rather than throw it away. So let's say they favor the weekdays when I'm here. It would be the first person I'd actually see that night, and for me, that would be a great relief. That unnatural loneliness, it was a sea of sadness that I couldn't help but drown. I was standing up to go and answer the back door when I realized that something was very wrong. An intense dread took over me when I realized that somehow the knocking seemed off. You know, when people knock on doors, they have a specific rhythm that's fast-paced almost. The two knocks, they were at least 2 seconds apart, which is really weird. Besides, it sounded way too heavy to be a hand, or else this person would have probably broken their knuckles banging on the door like that. This really put me over the edge. So, I decided to surprise whoever it was by going out from the front door and around to the side of the building. My best and only weapon was a pocket knife, and I still had no idea why I decided to enter a dark, dead-end alley while my legs were shaking in fear. Looking back now, I have the impression I was under some kind of trance, because not even fear-driven me would have made such a stupid choice. I was in a haze, driven by such a craving I had never experienced. It felt like this sudden craving were consuming every inch of my being. I had to see, or else I would just combust. As I started walking towards the end of the alley, I had that same feeling I had before, when that stranger was in the store. Someone was watching me, and the faint moonlight was only enough to show the silhouette of a person near the back door. Strangely enough, this person was hanging upside down, much like the hanging man, the tarot card, their upper body shadowed. "Hey, get off there. I'm calling the police. Stop pranking me, asshole." I screamed this to whoever it was. They made no sound, nor did they move. The noise went on, periodically, like a clock pendulum. I got closer, for whatever godforsaken reason, and I saw that the noise was that person banging their head on the door. It took me a second to realize that this woman was dead for sure. She was hanging by her feet, her weight pulling her towards the door. Her head, it had an enormous hole where she kept hitting the metal door, splattering blood all over. It seemed like that part of her skull simply caved in and the brain was leaking through it. She had horrendous, large, milky eyes, and she smelled like putrefaction. I didn't even scream. I just bolted and started running towards the nearest open place, which happened to be a bar. From there, I stopped to call the police and explain what the hell was happening. Of course, I didn't mention the faceless thing, or else they would think I was pranking them. Not even once did I look back, because if I did, like before, I knew this time I wouldn't have time to regret. I tried very hard to sleep that night, but I couldn't. A brand new level of anxiety took me over. The police could not find a body, although the blood was still there, staining the metal door and the walls. It was quite obvious that I wasn't alone at all there, and this person saw the opportunity to take the corpse and took it. Anyone would think of this. What messed me up really badly was that they found no footage of the man when looking through the security cameras around the store.